Okay, so for every chapter you're assigned, except for this week, you will have a discussion post due. And that discussion post is made up of an initial post and replies. And for those of you who are used to distance education, that should sound relatively familiar. For my initial post, uh, there's no prompt to answer. It's really your initial post is guided by your own interest in the text. So what you're going to do is you're going to read the chapter and then find two concepts. And what's a concept? It's pretty open-ended. It's either going to be a bold word or some idea that you connect with. And what you're going to do is once you've found that concept, and again, it's very open-ended, you're going to identify it. Just write it down. Identify, colon, what is it? And then define it in your own words with page numbers. Then give the relevancy. The relevancy is, why do I need to know this? And then why is it important? How will it help me be a better communicator or a better group member? And then include page numbers. And then give an example from your life. The more detailed the example, an example, what I mean by example here is story. It includes a specific person, a specific place, a specific time, doing something specific. And the more specific, the better. Not a generality, but a specific story. So you need a story there. And then you find another concept, another bold word, or another idea that captures your attention. And this time, you're going to do the identify part, you're going to do the define part, the relevancy, but what's different is this section, the video. You're going to find a video on YouTube or some other video platform, and you're going to post that video in your discussion, and then you're going to analyze it. Tell me why this video is demonstrating this concept in action. And you're going to use quotes and paraphrases from the text and quotes and paraphrases from the video to connect what we see in the video to what we read in the book. And that's the initial post. This is 125 words. This is 125 words. Let me show you an example of that, and then I'll show you another way to kind of think about it and look at this. So here's an example. Identify, and notice how it's in bullets, right? It's not one huge paragraph. It's actually in sections, and that's what I want. I want it bulleted out like this. Identify relevant examples. That's the concept they're going to talk about. They're going to define it in their own words with a page number. Then they talk about why it's so important, again, using page numbers. Then they're going to give a story, an example of one time specific examples or relevant examples were important. Then they found another concept. This time it was narration. Then they defined what narration was in their own words. They talked about why it was important using page numbers from the text. And then they gave a video example of where we would see narration in action. There's a link to the video. We could watch it if we wanted. And then this part's very important. They put the time that we should watch the video, because we don't want to watch a 20-minute video. We just want to watch the couple of minutes that's relevant to what you're trying to say in your post. So you must put the time. So please do that. So again, the initial post is made up of two concepts: identify, define, relevancy, example, and then identify, define, relevancy, video example. Let's look at a graphic representation of this to make it a little more clear.
Before you go on, can I ask a question about that example?
Please.
In the example, it looked like they were referencing an anthropology class. Was I reading that right, that it was actually a failure of relevant examples? And so
which could be fine.
Okay, so it's an anti-example. It's still
well, or it could be done poorly.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. Very good. Thank you for the question. I love questions. So here's a graphic representation. So when you're assigned a chapter to write a post on, one discussion post per assigned chapter is made with two assigned pieces of writing. All writing combined should be a minimum of 500 words. And you can ignore this caveat because you're not in COM 215. So on Friday night, you have this initial post due. The initial post is made up of two concepts. One is identify, define relevancy example, 125 words. And then concept 2, identify, define relevancy video example. That's all due Friday night by midnight. Then by Monday, the following Monday, 3 days later, you've got to respond to 2 students. And you're going to reply to different concepts than what you wrote about. So that means by the time we're finished with this chapter, you will have done a deep dive and had a lot of reflection and analysis on 4 major ideas in the text per chapter. So if this is 125, that's 125, and these are 125, you can see where we get this 500 words. The idea is that if you finish this by Friday night, your weekend is cleared out, and then Monday you can get back to the replies and knock that out in about an hour and be done with it. And this whole thing is worth 10 points. This part is worth, the initial post is worth 7. These are worth 3. If you only do 1 reply, that's only worth 1. So the highest grade you could get would be an 8. You've got to do both to get the A. Questions on the post. I'm going to get into the replies in just a minute, but just in terms of the initial post, any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we have to cite our video?
What do you mean by cite?
Like when you do like, I don't like cite your sources. Like, do you have to cite the video in your post?
You would certainly want to say, you know, here you have a link to it because we're going to watch it. So we'll know where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
And you do want to set up the clip. You're going to describe it. You know, here's a clip out of this movie. These 2 characters are talking about something, and this is a great example of this concept. And here's what you see. You know, this concept meant this, and here's how this is a great example of that. And you describe the scene. So I think that would be reference enough.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I do have, so I got a little bit lost in some of what you're talking about here. So you have our initial post about the 2 concepts. These are 2 concepts from the book, from the reading.
That's true.
Okay. And then Tiana mentioned something to do with a video, and I know you went over that, but I guess it didn't click with me.
That's
in
fine.
terms of-
Let me show you again. So you
Okay.
saw these directions, right?
I did.
So she's asking about this video. When you post a video, how do you reference it?
Oh,
And I try to describe that, well, you'll have a link to the video because that's part of the assignment. And you've got to kind of describe the video. You've got to kind of set up the clip. You've got to explain, you know, what movie it is or what show it is, who are the actors I'm watching, what's the circumstance they find themselves in. And so that's about as much reference as you would need.
so for every post, we're also gonna have to go out and find a video that demonstrates the concepts in the book?
That's right. So, but only one concept though, because you've got one concept here and one concept there.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, you will have to go out and find a video. Now, let's say you're having a really hard week and you're like, I don't have time to find a video. So if you just give me another personal example, you could still earn an 8 out of 10 if you did everything else. You could still get a B and do just fine if you don't want to find the videos. But the video is worth 2 points. That good video analysis is worth 2 points of the 10 points the assignment's worth.
Okay, so you say video analysis, so is it like we're supposed to find a video that is like a professional talking about the concept of that week?
No, you might be referencing a video from Big Bang Theory, the show. And
Okay.
Sheldon and his buddy are in a fight, and the chapter's about conflict. And you know, it might be that Sheldon is avoiding the conflict, and that's one of the ways that you can manage conflict is by avoiding it. You're going to show me in the clip how Sheldon is not dealing with this conflict.
Interesting, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if you watched Big Bang, if that makes sense, but a lot of people like to use
I
that.
do, yeah.
Okay.
It's a good show.
Okay, it is. It's hilarious. All right. What else? Okay, let's talk about the replies a little bit. If you want more specifics on what I'm looking for in the discussion, in the initial post and the replies, let's go to this thing I call grading rubric. This is very detailed in terms of what I want to see. So in the initial post, you got to have two different concepts. Follow the models I've already discussed. I'm not going to go over that again. Right, make sure they're each 125 words. Provide at least one reference with page numbers to the definitions and relevancy sections. Make sure you've got good stories. Use proper grammar. Place your post directly online, not as an attachment, and submit it by 11:59 p.m. Friday night. In the replies, you've got to do the following. Respond to two different students. Include at least one specific reference or quote from the initial post with the author's name. Provide a clear connection between your reply and what the other student wrote. Include at least one specific reference or quote from the assigned chapter with page numbers. Write at least 125 words in each reply. Provide specific outside evidence, examples, connections. That means your own story that connects with the original post's author. Use proper grammar. Place your post directly in the Canvas and submit it by Monday at 11:59 p.m. I've got another question here on chat. Let me check it out. Okay. Somebody, any questions now on the posts? And again, I have examples for you to read here. Here's examples of initial posts, and then here's examples of replies.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So for our reply, we're not replying to both of the
Initial post or concepts?
Yeah, we're just replying to one concept instead of
That's
both.
true. That's true.